funky.
Good afternoon, guys, it's Garrett, and today I'm going to guys a tutorial on how to use Adobe Lightroom. If you guys don't know, this is part of the Adobe suite, and it's a very good program for photography and for photo editing like this. And if you guys know how to use this program, you guys are going to be set in your photography lessons and your advertisement pictures. Of course, if you're taking your own, this is a very good tool to know how to make filters for them, color corrections, or however you want to put it, more so presets. Excuse me. But today's tutorial, we're going to be going over on how to make, basic tips and stuff like this, how to make everything pop out. Excuse me, a little more. So here's the example that I have for you guys today, and this is the original picture that I took. It's of my cat outside of my house. There's my car, and basically this is going to be the end product, how it looks a lot more professional, a lot more clean. There are some little mishaps, like these little white dots are everywhere, but that can be cleaned up in Photoshop. And honestly, I use Photoshop for a lot of my workflow, especially for photo editing, so Lightroom isn't usually my to-go program. However, if people are very good and fluent inside of this, then you guys will have no problem in getting everything together. So all I did to get this screen up is I opened Lightroom, imported my picture, and now I clicked on develop, and now we're going to be going over basically how everything works. So on the left hand side, there's going to be a bunch of presets, which is like black and white, color effects, general video, everything like that. We're going to be staying away from that. Maybe another tutorial we'll be going over all of that, but we're going to be focused more on the right hand side with all of these. So there's basic, tone curve, color, HSL, black and white, split toning, detail, lens corrections, transform, effects, and camera calibration. So overall, we're going to leave this just basically the same, and we're going to click on basic. And when you guys click on basic, you guys are going to have, WB as shot. I would just keep that the same. And for here, temperature we're going to be working around with. So for temperature, if you guys aren't very familiar with it, on the left hand side is more towards the blues, and the right hand side is more towards like kind of the yellows and oranges. Basically, if you guys know your color theory and the color wheel, more so the cooler colors are kind of the blues and greens rather than the warmer colors of the reds and oranges. So we're going to keep this picture, and it's basically personal preference on what you want to do. I usually like making outdoor pictures, I know, a little bit more warmy. You guys can make it cooler, but of course I would just save that for like winter pictures and stuff like this. So don't mess with it too much. Don't make it too kind of warm or too cold, just because it's going to look a little bit too weird. So for tin, it's going to be more towards the green colors and the purples. So of course, if you're bringing it more towards the right, it's going to bring out that darker red inside of the picture. More towards the left, it's going to bring out that bright green. So I'm going to bring it more towards the right to kind of bring out those dark reds inside of the ground, like the dirt, and also on the bark of this tree. And now you guys go down right here below that to exposure. And if you guys are very familiar with my tutorials, I use a lot of exposure on Photoshop. So if you guys take this, you guys can bring it to the right, which kind of enhances the brightness of a picture, or to the left, which kind of darkens it. I'm going to bring it to the right is a little bit, not too much, maybe like plus 24 at the most. And then you guys have contrast. So contrast is going to be basically bringing out the darks inside of the picture and making the whites brighter. As again, do not mess with this too much. I would just bring it to the right, maybe like plus 10 to 15, maybe even a little lower, because you don't want to make this contrast too much in the background, because then everything's going to look a little bit too awkward. You want to make sure that main focus, which enhanced this tutorial, is the cat, is basically very clear and very clarified inside the picture. So now that you guys have that stuff done, you go down the list into highlights, and for highlights you don't really want to touch too much. It's kind of like the brightness of the certain areas. I usually tend to make that like plus 5, and I'd rather keep that the same than really mess with it too much. Of course, shadows, I would actually bring that a little bit down, because you want to bring out kind of the cat. And of course, it depends on what your focus is around the picture. When you're messing with stuff yourself, things come out a little bit more differently. So with the whites, it's basically, as the thing says, the whites, it brings out that really big brightness. So I would mess with that a little bit too much, maybe like plus 43 at the most. And for blacks, I would bring that to the left hand side, just because it makes it a little bit more darker inside of the dirt. So maybe minus 17 actually. So you guys can see that we have a very unique, or not even unique, a very good colorful picture so far. Everything's starting to come together very well. If we go back to here, you guys can see this is the original image versus what we're working with right now. So it's a very different story if you guys are looking at it that way. It's telling a very different tale, and of course this is a lot more beautiful to look at. It's a lot more interesting, and I'd rather have this as like my cover photo for Twitter or Facebook or something like that, or to show my family. So now you guys have this. You guys have clarity, vibrance, and saturation. Clarity is basically how sharp your image is. If you take it to the right, it'll sharpen, everything like that. you take it to the left, it'll blur it. So of course, maybe like +2 to +5 at the most to make this a little bit sharper, to kind of bring out those little details in the hair and the grass right here. But don't bring it out too much, because then you're gonna get really contrasty inside the grass and inside of everything else, which is gonna really kill the whole entire image itself. Then vibrance is basically, you know, if you guys take it to the color, it's kind of like another version of saturation. So I would make that maybe -2, and then saturation, I would up that maybe like +5 to 8 maybe. So I'm actually gonna just type it in 5, so it knows what I meant. All right. So we got +5. So now you guys are done with that. Basically, all you want to do is click that little arrow, and then you guys can click tone and curve. So tone and curve is basically the highlights, lights, and darks and stuff like this again. Wouldn't mess with this too much. There's a little bit, you know, you can mess with and bring out that way, and it's a very good tool to kind of customize stuff that way. Split toning as well is more of the hue and saturation. I wouldn't really touch that. Detail, of course, is the amount of sharpening. Radiance, luminance is a noise reduction. Color, of course, that's just stuff you guys want to enter in if you guys are getting very customizable with the stuff. You guys can actually add your own chromatic aberration or remove it, depends on your camera. Doesn't really matter too much. And then you guys can have transform, which is basically tilting stuff as you guys use on Instagram filters. You guys can tilt your stuff, make the aspect ratio different, the scale, the offset, and all that kind of cool stuff. Then you guys have effects, which is basically highlight priority and amount. And basically it's kind of like a vignette or whatever the name is for it. And I would totally put that on just a little bit, maybe like -19 at the most. You guys can change the midpoint actually, and maybe bring that up a little bit so the kind of the corners and stuff like this is a little bit more darker. Feather, which is going to be blurring it out, and then highlights, which is going to be just kind of bringing it around there. So gain is going to be, or grain, excuse me, is going to be like kind of a noise again. And just leave that the same. Dehaze the same. I don't really like messing around with that stuff too much. And then for camera calibration, again, this is kind of like stuff that you're going to be using blue primaries, green primaries, you know, changing the red primaries and stuff like that. Of course, it depends what kind of image you're using, but of course I would just keep this the same. So now that you're done with the image, if you guys are very happy with this, you guys want to kind of export it into your own file. So all you want to do right now is click on this file right here, and you guys can go to export. So once you click export, you guys are going to be brought up to this big kind of menu right here, and basically I'm going to save this to my hard drive, export to my desktop, and I'm going to save this, let's just say, to a subfolder named tutorial. So after I'm done with that, you guys can add this to a catalog or stuff like that, rename the file. Doesn't really matter, you guys can do that all yourself. You guys can change the size, sharpen it and stuff like that, create it for your screen. Of course, for resolution, your pixels per inch, I would just leave for 300. You guys can up it if your computer is very beastie and can handle it. If not, just leave it to 300. 300 is usually the best, like the naked eye. No one's going to really realize it other than that. And a very awesome part of Lightroom, you guys can add your own watermarks. You guys can click on here, simple copyright watermark, and then you guys can edit. And you guys can actually add your own watermarks, which is kind of cool. Not many programs offer this. You know, I'm going to add my BehrDesign one. I can click save, create as an unknown one, and then you guys click export. So once you guys click export, you're actually going to get this little thing in the top left hand corner saying export one file. After that's done, you guys can totally just minimize everything, click on the image, double click, and usually loads, and you guys will have your own photography image made by yours truly. So guys, of course, I would totally rather adding your signature and stuff like this inside of your Photoshop or your other workflow programs. I'm not a big fan of Lightroom myself, but overall, I do like using this program for kind of little basic video editing or picture editing and stuff like that. So if you guys did enjoy this video, you guys did enjoy a different software, let me know in the comments below. Make sure that you like this video and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know in the comments below, or Twitter, DMs, or email. If you guys want to purchase anything from me, you guys want to have me for commissioned work or client work, of course my emails or Skype works perfectly fine. So thank you guys so much for 10,000 plus subscribers, almost 10,800. Really don't know what to do for 11,000, but overall guys, I hope you enjoy your day. Peace out.